And like the problem is not the fact that they made this video. The problem is all the people that's watching this video. And I just had to tell every last one of you that are watching this video, you're the reason why this world is fucked up.
I'm here today because I have something important to discuss with you.
So we've decided to start an ongoing series called True Confessions of the Duke. And it needs to be said firsthand that all of these confessions as they're released are absolutely true, 100% true. There's nothing that I'm saying right now that is fabricating any aspect of this story. And it was brought to my attention that because it's April, mid-April, and the kids are graduating from high school, that everyone might like to know about how my own college education was paid for. And I decided that since, our show is called Earful of the Struggle, that this would be a very good story in terms of how it was a struggle. And it's in my first year and a half, roughly year and a half, UC was quarters. And so I know that we paid for 3 quarters, maybe 4, which would have been the second year. And I was working a job in a kitchen at the same time. Out of 38 employees, only 3 of us were white. There was me, this old white lady from Indiana, and this white dude that looked like Ted Nugent that had long curly hair. And all the brothers that worked with me, since they didn't know any thing that Ted Nugent sung, whenever Pete walked by, they'd go, wow, 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 wow. Like that. Purple Haze, because all the brothers knew was Jimi Hendrix. But I mean, Pete would come out of the office, they'd be like, meow, 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 meow. But there was this other girl there, and her name was Donessa, but we called her nickname was Stank Booty. And she actually responded to Stank Booty, like everybody called her Stank Booty. And the reason why, like, she had the most perfect booty, and when she wore them black khakis and shit, it was just unreal. Like, it was like step stopper booty. Like, if you was walking by and her booty was bent up, you'd have to, like, it was amazing. And but when she was busting the dishes out in the dining room, she would always wipe her hands on her ass. And so by the end of the night, she would have all this, like, food or whatever, look like flour or some shit on her ass. And so that's why, hence the name Stank Booty. But she had been going to get her GED, and she knew that I was still in school and was curious about school and stuff, and she finished her GED, and then she decided she wanted to go on. Okay, well, she tells me that she found somewhere to get her education paid for, to get her college paid for. Okay, and this place is called the College Information Center. And at the time, it was in it was Shillitoe's, which it's now Macy's. So the office was on it was literally, this is true, 100% true. It was on. You go through the lingerie department on, like, probably the 3rd floor or something of the Shillitoe's building, and then there was a hallway like you was going back to a bathroom or something, and there was these offices in there. And all I had was Stank Booty's description of where this place was at. Like, she was like, go to the, and I didn't even know if I was on the right floor or nothing. And so I go in there, and initially I'm on the right floor, And I peek my head in the door and look around for a minute, and all I see is like posters of like black folks that had just graduated, black folks that that were dressed like doctors, and some that had the valedictorian garbs on and stuff. And I shut the door. I said, "This ain't the right place, man." So I went upstairs and then went through whatever closing section that was to the same hallway, just one floor up, and there was offices there, but they were all locked. So I went back downstairs, and when I hit the door the second time, there was this little old black lady at the desk, and she was like, "Honey, can I help you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, do y'all help out white people?" And she was like, "Get in here and sit down." And that was the beginning of our relationship. That was the beginning of mine and Miss Walker's relationship. And it turns out that what this agency was it was called the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, which was a subsidiary of the United Negro College Fund. Okay, and which, if you don't know what that means that it's just a lower hand of the bigger organization, which is the United Negro College Fund. And so I don't know if I scheduled an appointment that day or if I had to go back again. And Miss Walker filled out. Now, I didn't tell you that when me and my mother filled out my financial aid form, they offered us I think it was either $132 or $32 in a Pell Grant, which is the grant you don't have to pay back. And at that time, tuition was $800 a quarter, so that was $800 3 times a year, or a semester, $800 3 times a year. And so with the 132, we got on the Pell Grant. My mom paid some, I paid some, and the first 4 semesters was all cash. Then I met Miss Walker. And Miss Walker filled out my FAFSA form, and within, now I don't know what she fabricated or didn't fabricate. I have no idea, because she was filling everything out. She was asking me questions here and there. Now, the only thing that I seen on there that did kind of strike out as me, when it asked if I was a ward of the state, she checked that box, like as if I was an orphan. And I just let her do her thing. And within, at least by the next quarter or by the end of that year, I had that quarter paid for. I had probably, I can't remember the exact number, but I would say realistically, without trying to fabricate and keep this story true, I would say probably at least $300 to $500 extra. So after Miss Walker filled out my application, I had the $800 semester paid for and $500 in my pocket that I did not have to pay back. Not only did I get it starting in that quarter, I got the back pay, the rearage, not the tuition, but the cash. So if the number was $300 a quarter, I got $300 for the 4 quarters I had been there, plus the $300 there. So now my school is paid for, and I got $1,000 that I do not have to pay back. And that's how it started. We filled it out every year, and I still didn't take any loan money. It increased every year. It increased. I still didn't fill out any loan money. Finally, like the second semester of my junior year, because I was eligible for all of the all of the loans, Stanford loans, and loans that you had to pay back. I was eligible for all of them for the previous 2.5 years of college if I got that money right now. And so me thinking I was flashy, I took all the money. And, well, that's a different confession. But in the meantime, Miss Walker would always call me every time there was a local, what do you call it, when it's a grant, a scholarship. It was always, when there was some type of Cincinnati business or Cincinnati agency, she would call me. Okay, so I got a $2,000 one. This is all that I did not have to pay back from the Urban League, I believe, which was another African American institution. And it was $2,000. So I took that $2,000, put it on a down payment to lease a 2000 Mazda in 2000. So yeah, so Miss Walker. Not only was Miss Walker getting me plugged in to get my books and my education paid, now Miss Walker showed me the route to get the down payment on the Mazda. Now I had to pay the car payment after that for the lease and stuff, but I didn't pay shit for the down payment. And there was other ones, there was at least, I remember there was one, it might have been P&G that was giving it away, but none of them were as high as the 2000. I think one was like 800, same shit, write a paper, and I think the terrible thing about this is, like, of course it was great for me. But the real part of the confession is everybody I told about, I know for a fact from my junior year, from my sophomore year to my senior year, hands down, I told 100 people about this place. I told at least 100 people. It was probably more because I fucking talked to everybody. And out of everybody that I told, and this is not including myself, 2 people went down there. So there was 3 of us total out of every person I told, both of which were white, way whiter than me, might I add, and same deal, man. Got the same deal. Same exact deal. Now they didn't get plugged into the scholarships because Miss Walker, I told her ahead of time, like, don't be calling them if there's money available and it's tight, call me. And I swear I told so many people about that, man. It's ridiculous how many people did not cash in on that. And so at the end of the day, man, like, if you want to try to get some money here in this college season, you don't have to pay for that shit. You do not have to pay for this shit. To use my cliche from before, Obama's got you, man. You just got to know what to do. You got to swallow your pride enough to go and sit down. I mean, think about if I went in there and the first time and I seen all them posters and stuff, and I'm telling you right now, there wasn't a white person in the building, man. You know what I mean? There was no white people worked for Miss Walker. No white people ever came in there. None of the things I had to go to follow up with these scholarships. There wasn't any white people. Like, this was some faith and trust, man, and some gratitude for the United Negro College Fund, man, because they helped a brother out. For real. I mean, the struggle is real no matter what the skin tone. It's about rich and poor, baby. But if you ain't got it and you work the system, you can get it. You know? In the 5 years that I went to UC, it went from eight and not eight. Now they went on to quarters, so that's 4 times a year instead of 3. But it took me 6 years to get through. In the 6 years it took me to get through, it went from 800 a quarter to 1,600. 800 3 times a year to 1,600 4 times a year. It doubled plus one more payment per year if you wanted to go to school during the summer. And so you think this motherfucker right here is going to pay all that money? Shit. Miss Walker hooked a motherfucker up. Boy, God rest her soul. I love you, Miss Walker. I'll never forget you. I can remember your face. I can remember all of it. Me and my other homeboy that got hooked up with the program, we used to play golf, and we had these tees that was so black, like they were the blackest tees you ever seen in your life. And every time we used them black tees, we hit the ball so far and so straight, and we named them tees Miss Walker tees, man. Like, you was always in our heart, even in leisure. You know what I'm saying? Like, you helped a brother out, man. That's the only even to this day, that's the only brand new car I ever had. Paid for by the Urban League. Down payment paid for by the Urban League. So that's all I got for this session. Show is the struggle is real. I think it's important to let you guys know just how real the struggle is.